live, and I forgot what I was gonna say. Huh. That was weird. Okay. Actually, let me check something, folks, because I changed my stream key. I need to make sure that we're in communication with stuff and things and everything and whatnot. Okay, cool. So it's working. Uncle Deroy, awesome. Okay. So we are working. Good. Yeah. What's going on, Steve Bowden? So I forgot what I was gonna say. Got it. Yeah. So So some of you who couldn't hear me yesterday in what's his face hangout, that's because my mic was turned down 50%. And I was like, what's like, I had no idea what was going on. And I thought I checked the levels on it, but I checked it this morning because we had a meeting in Discord about something. And I looked at it, like, Fabio's like, drag, you're low. And I check that thing, man, down 50%. I'm like, I think it's because when I switch devices and I switch to this thing, somehow it just says, hey, let me turn that down. Even though it's not receiving any input, I think. I don't know. I went in as piss bottle just to spook, but that was, I had to go to I had to go see my cousin's new baby, and that was a 45-minute drive, so I didn't want to stick around and play with the idiot. I didn't have a desire to, honestly, because I've already fucked him once this month. So today, this morning, it's Uncle Deroy. I don't know if y'all saw the thumbnail. What it is, Uncle Deroy. You can always figure out who it is by looking at the thumbnail, because I categorize them now by thumbnails. Notice a certain somebody else is also categorizing shit by thumbnails. So Uncle Deroy uploaded 2 videos. One was his broke ass one horse hometown, which I'm one to talk about that. And it's boring as hell. Like, I actually sat with the wife because she wanted Waffle House at 10 o'clock at night, and listened to a little bit of it, and it was boring as shit. Like, it's like, it's him talking at normal speed is boring, but him repeating himself and taking 3 minutes to get through 3 words is just incredibly boring. And so I cannot make that entertaining because I can barely listen to it myself. The other video he uploaded was something to do with Kirk Franklin, a street preacher. That was boring as well. So I'm kind of going to go back to what I was originally going to do and work backwards through some of his videos where he is informing us on his view of atheists and other people who aren't broke ass Pentecostal old ass black dudes like him. So yeah. So I think it's a public service to fuck with G-Man until he cries uncontrollably and gets another UTI, which no atheist will come to his rescue. Yeah, that would be that'd be hilarious, but I was out of time. Didn't have the desire, and I was out of time. And there's always tomorrow, folks. There's always tomorrow. Making him cry is something that I find extra hilarious. So there's no mistake, G-Man, because evidently you've been watching a lot of my stuff lately. Keep telling yourself. Yeah. Oh, it's a rainbow outside. There's a sprinkler, Uncle Deroy, and the water from the sprinkler, as the water falls, the light rays are passing through it because it's morning, and it's a fucking rainbow. That's so cool. I wonder if if anyone at any point in time in the past have seen waterfall, and then you could see the visual light spectrum as the light passed through it. Man, that's so cool. Awesome. So I'm going to roll this intro, folks. I'm going to get some fucking coffee, so maybe I can stop forgetting what I was going to talk about. But I've listened to a little bit of this, and it does start off really slow, and I might play it at normal speed just to fuck with y'all. Don't know yet. We're going to find out, though. We're going to find out, folks. I'm telling you right now. A shout out to all the Patreons. I don't know about you guys, but I'm ready to hear more about penny candies and gay sex. Not bad. So, I don't know what all this is about, but I have a pretty good idea. How do I know, you ask? It's easy. I go to the description because, unlike some people, Mr. Deroy puts stuff in his description. Faith in Christ is about spiritual awakening and transformation. Okay, cool. Fair enough. Awesome. I agree. But atheism is all about appeasing the audience and making up this new religion as they go along. Oh man, that sounds like fun. That sounds like Mr. Deroy has his own idea of what atheism is, and I guess to a larger degree, what being an atheist is actually about. Which, to be fair, in some cases, he may be accurate. There may be atheists who fit that description. But by far and large, no, I don't think so. What is Deroy? What's up with Deroy and his homoerotic tendencies? I can give you a few guesses as to why he feels the need to be as homoerotic as he is. He's not going to like my speculation, but it's I don't know too many straight guys who go through his very weird and elaborate homoerotic illustrations when he needs to talk about the platonic relationship between two men. But hey. And holy shit, this is like the biggest heist I've ever seen in the chat. Everyone's on it. Whoops, I still had it muted. Sorry.
Atheist video. It is video week for me. I haven't done a video for a while. Been busy. But today and tomorrow is my day off. It's already late. I was busy reading my Bible today. And I was actually reading a study Bible that I had in my bookshelf collecting dust. And I opened it up and started reading a lot of the articles in there. And it's a lot different than my other study Bibles. Here's the thing. I started looking at a video and I just typed it in. And it was Jubilee. I don't know if you are familiar with the Jubilee network or the Jubilee channel. These people have done a real good job at getting blacks and whites to talk. They've been doing a real good job at getting politicians to talk. They do videos like, do all Trump supporters think alike? Do all Democrats think alike? The one I watched today was just a little bit ago, actually, was atheist and Christian debate. Okay? And what was going on there, it seemed like when they had the atheist-Christian debate that the atheists got heated. And they were all heated mainly about one guy. A guy that I would look up to. There was this old white gentleman.
Yes, Yes, this is at normal speed. This is literally his normal fucking speech. There's almost 3 minutes have passed. If you guys did not realize, it's 5 seconds away from being 3 minutes. That had to be. This is about the longest 3 minutes I've ever experienced in my life. Jesus, I've learned about the Jubilee Network, and that they're a network that asks people questions to try and figure out where their mind is as far as, I guess, personal biases and shit like that. I don't know, but it's just, my God, 3 minutes, folks. It took me all of 2 seconds to like offer a half-ass summation. Yes, this is, just in case you guys forgot. I figured we hadn't done Deroy Cruz in a while, so I had to remind everyone what he sounds like in his regular speech pattern. Just his regular speech. Speed. Just, man, because I listen to, like, when I do listen to some of his videos on my phone, I listen to him at regular speed. I'll sit through, I'll be taking a shower or some shit like that, or a bath, or walking to school, or just doing some stuff on Excel. Something that I know is going to take a long time. That's when I listen to him. But man, it is painful. So let's speed him up to a regular ass person speed or something or other, of everything and whatnot.
Somebody's grandpa who was very definition-like. He had a definition for everything. He defined everything, not only biblically, but he defined everything he said in the context that was already defined, that we usually define it. And the atheists, one of the things that they keep doing, they keep changing the definitions to things. And this woman wasn't sure whether she was an agnostic or an atheist. Now, he jumped the gun. I would never tell anybody that, well, you're not a Christian, you're not an atheist, you're not an agnostic, or whatever. But he told us.
So and if y'all are wondering, like, in the Dragnet bag of tricks, one of the things I look for, because some of you all have picked up on the fact that I'm paying attention to a lot of stuff that people do and a lot of stuff that people say to me. And yeah, what's an agnostic? That's when you put your ass up in the air and you twerk it, and you don't know why. You're just kind of ambivalent as to the reason as to why your ass is in the air. We need a soundboard for Deroy. Agnostic. I like that. I'm gonna start calling myself that. I'm an hashtag agnostic. As an agnostic with way too much ass. I'm looking at you. I talk. So, so here's here. All right. I'll try to get back on track. All right. So here, one of the things that I look for when I start engaging somebody like he's describing here, this person who has to define everything. I'm not mad at anyone who defines their terms. In fact, I am always interested in people who want to define what they mean, because maybe they know that they're not the most articulate person in the world. Maybe they know that all words are metaphors, and table can mean penis, and at any point in time we all speak our own language, all that bullshit, right? I'm always interested in people trying to define the best way they can the words that they're going to use. What I'm not interested in doing is people trying to stack the deck with their own kind of esoteric language that they have that resembles nothing of common parlance, right? Because there are people let me draw a distinction here. People who refer to the word theory when they actually mean hypothesis. That happens. That happens all the time. That's a very common mistake, and I understand when people make that mistake. I understand where they're coming from. They're not doing it on purpose. It's just their conception of that. There's a separate group of people. There's an entirely separate group of people who literally define things just arbitrarily. Like they will conceive whatever definition fits their narrative, and they'll just assign that. Which, okay, that's on them, but then they'll insist that other people misuse the English language like they're doing. Like, and then it's just it's baffling to me because now it's hard to communicate. I'm not interested in arguing over real definitions. That's fine. We'll get over it. I want to understand the concept. We can call it Apple B and Apple 3, Apple 4 and Apple 5. It doesn't matter. It could be X sub 1, X sub 2, B sub 1, B sub 2. It doesn't matter. The label doesn't matter. The concepts are what matter. The idea that you're trying to communicate, right? Having an argument over the definition of a goddamn word is not how you communicate with other people. That's a really surface level practice that you use to posture because you don't have really anything else to say. So, the person that Deroy Cruz is talking about here, to me at least, has already raised some red flags, right? They're coming in with their own esoteric language on how they want to define stuff. But not only that, this reminds me of an experience that I had. Did I tell you guys I was a combat medic in the Army? Oddly enough, this has everything to do with me being a combat medic in the Army. My first squad leader, actually, was he first? What was lawyer? Law. What his name was? Lawler? Lawler, I think his name was. Lawler. He was an evangelical Christian. He labeled me an agnostic because his idea of what an agnostic is or what an atheist is was, I wouldn't say unique. It was very to the point. Drag, what do you mean? His idea, his conception of what an atheist is what we would refer to as a strong atheist, or a positive atheist, someone who espouses positive, like they know for a fact that God doesn't exist. And that is what, as I say, that's the only real definition for what an atheist is. Which isn't true, but that's fine. That's how he used it. So he insisted that that's how everyone else uses it. And for him, anything less than complete and utter certitude in the claim that God doesn't exist was an agnostic. That was his standard, I guess you could say. And so I've encountered that before, and at the time I didn't know how to combat that because I was like, I just called myself because I don't, that it's more about the concept, more about the notion, the idea, than the label. Not too concerned about that. So he was dead set on instilling instilling that label onto me, or imbuing me with that label. So I'm very curious now what Mr. Cruz's conception of that, because if I were to say, well, you know what, Pentecostals aren't real Christians. They believe in some heretical stuff. If I just threw that out there, do you think he would like that? Do you think he would get kind of the parallels here? Because he seems almost baffled that someone who isn't an atheist or an agnostic trying to label someone else what they really are, he doesn't see why that's kind of a little offensive, right? He doesn't understand that. So I want to see how Mr. Cruz processes what's going on here, if he actually understands, or if he's just talking out of his ass again.
This woman, you're not an atheist. You're an agnostic. An atheist does not believe that there is a God. Now you're saying that you believe in God if this, and it doesn't matter what if. If you say you're an atheist, that means you don't believe in God. And, then one of the atheists also asked the question.
You notice there's a stipulation there now. There's that if. That if. That's interesting. Maybe their stance on God is provisional. That's always, if as somebody who holds a lot of his beliefs as provisional, I'd understand that. I'm willing to reevaluate my stance on the claim based on the evidence presented. I don't think Mr. Cruz understands that. I don't think he understands that at all. So, again, these are things, and we've actually caught him doing this quite a few times. And it wasn't the last video. I think it was the second to last video that I did, where kind of catch Mr. Cruz inserting things into it was a video about what a real atheist is. Actually, it was that video. It wasn't called that. It was something to the effect of a true atheist or real atheist or something like that. And so you caught Mr. Cruz attaching a myriad of things to the basic definition of one who does not believe in a deity or deities. This is interesting because now this is him before, actually, because this video is older, this is him getting to that point. We're seeing the machinations here of what's going on in his head, on how he's figuring this stuff out. Because mind you, he doesn't actually sit down and speak to atheists. He might come across them every so often. He mentioned one at his job that he kind of sort of spoke to, but based on the context of the conversation, it's a very passing conversation. It wasn't anything in depth like he would talk to you or I or anything like that, right? Because we all know that he's not good for one-on-one conversation. He's not really good for sitting down and getting in depth on much of anything because, well, you would have to have knowledge above a cursory level to have that type of conversation, and that's not in the cards for him at all. So, that being said, his conception of what an atheist is mostly gained from YouTube because he's not reading anything on it, and his chance conversation with folks at work are only to confirm the ignorance that he already has instilled within him. So, Mr. Cruz, please enlighten us with the more that bullshit that you got.
Don't you know right and wrong? You need a Bible to tell you right and wrong? One of my favorite questions. And today, I'm going to give you an answer. Here's my answer. I know what's right and wrong for me as a human secularist. However you want to pronounce that, as a humanist, or a secularist, or a social justice warrior, or a homosexual, or a fornicator, or a
secularist, or a homosexual, or okay, I'm gonna leave that alone. I'm gonna leave it alone.
Liar, a perjurer. Okay, I know what's right and wrong for me in the eyes of the secular world. That's not the problem. That's not the issue here. But when a Christian allows God to choose right and wrong, even though some of those things may be right and wrong naturally in the secular world, God's definition is always higher. God's standard is always higher. And we as Christians, we sacrifice. The word is sacrifice. It's not just merely believing, but we believe so strongly that we sacrifice our secularism. We sacrifice our right to be humanists. We sacrifice whatever feelings that we have about abortion, about homosexuality, about whatever. It's not that we hate these people, so we use Christianity to explain our hate. No, that's not the way it was. We were all just like the atheists at one time. Now, some have been born into the church, so they never known what it was like to be secular, or to be worldly, as the Bible would call it. But I've been both. I was born and raised in the church. I left the church. I spent some time angry at God. I spent time in the fornication, and I spent time, trying to find pleasure on the other side of the wall. Spent some time. I have 2 kids to show for my fornication, as well as my marriage. Okay? I have scars to show for my time in the world. I have enemies that won't let certain things go because of my time as a non-believer.
Maybe you were just a shit person. Maybe it didn't have a lot to do with your view on a God. Maybe you were just a shitty person. Could that possibly have been it? Because it sounds like, well, if you just let your dick just hang wherever and you just trip and fall in the vagina a few times, then, hey, out pops kids. Tends to happen, especially with pizza and alcohol. Trust me, I know. But maybe it had nothing to do with you being secular. Maybe it has everything to do with you not having very much control over yourself. Because you can believe in a God or not believe in a God and have some self-control. It's very possible because, I don't know, maybe some of us do it every day. I don't know. No. But it almost seems like he attributes this to this depraved state that some of us kind of hear every so often, that if you're not up underneath the church and not sniffing a preacher's ass or something like that, you'll somehow go out and become this pariah, this just absolutely abhorrent, non-conforming citizen of whatever, society that you're part of. It has nothing to do with just you as a person, just being terrible. It has nothing to do with that. No, it's whether or not you believe in a deity, because you need to be told what to do. You can't come to the conclusion that maybe I shouldn't have unprotected sex. Maybe there are consequences for that. Oh, I need a deity to tell me that. I can't come to that conclusion on my own. Maybe I shouldn't start fights with people and be really aggressive to every person that I come across, that might have repercussions. No, I need a deity to tell me that. I don't know how many ass whoopings you need to figure that out, with or without a Bible, but I found that out real quick early on in life. Didn't need a Bible for that. Didn't need any religion for that. An ass whooping will teach you real quick on what to do and what not to do. But maybe you're just hard-headed, Mr. Deroy Cruz. Maybe that's it. I don't know. Maybe that, because there's still plenty of people who are Christians who still do that. Well, they're still in the world. Maybe they haven't caught the right ass whooping yet. Because evidently church and religion and God and all that stuff ain't helping. Maybe it's just you as a person. Maybe it's just that. Just maybe. I don't know.
But when we come to Christ, we sacrifice ourselves, our secular feelings. See, everybody has those secular feelings. Like, like why is homosexuality in my business? If I'm either I think that, okay, I like to watch women, let's say porn, on a porn level, for example. I like to watch women get laid by men. But I like to see guys get into it too. Okay? Either I'm that person, or it ain't none of my business.
What? Hold on.
Laid by men. But I like to see guys get into it too.
I'm gonna let that one go. Yeah, let me skip past that one. That's your second freebie. That's your second freebie today, Mr. Cruz. I'm gonna let that one go. That's between you and Dickens McLongstroke or whoever the hell you've been watching. Okay?
Either I'm that person, or it ain't none of my business. Capitalize, it's not any of my business. But see, the atheists, the last thing they want is silence. See, they'll get mad if they see a Christian out on the street preaching the gospel. They'll get mad. And if they can't make a joke out of this guy and get like a whole bunch of people laughing and that kind of thing and mocking, that kind of thing, then what they'll do is start throwing stuff, start slamming stuff, breaking stuff. Like they do to David Lynn all the time whenever they go out there. And it's not the Mormons. Not the Muslims. There's one Muslim that got angry and actually pulled a knife on David Lynn. Was it a knife? It was like a baseball bat or something, some kind of object. It was a pipe. Something he had in his briefcase or something. He was going to hit David Lynn with it. They all had to jump on him. Okay? David Lynn is my man. He's doing something like, you won't catch me dead doing it. You won't see me in my dreams doing it. You can't even fantasize about me being David Lynn, put myself in his shoes. That's the call of God. That's between him and the Lord. But David Lynn goes through this kind of thing. And he knows better than anyone how many times, if you look at all the different groups, who are the two people that get so angry when you stand up and preach the gospel? And before you even sit there and say anything about homosexuals, it is a homosexual that will walk up to you. You didn't even say nothing about them. They'll walk right up and they'll start flipping out on you and saying all kinds of stuff about what you believe. They're going to tell you what you believe. Same thing with atheists. Those are the two people, homosexuals and atheists, that will come up to you and just go off.
So, okay. I would like to see these videos where unprovoked atheists and homosexuals just coming up and just beating up folks. I would like to see that video, Mr. Cruz. Because I watched a lot of videos. I'm not saying it's impossible. They had an atheist shoot up a church, or I think it was a mosque or something like that a few years ago. It does happen. But given what happened to David Lynn recently, me watching kind of what he does, I see why people flipped out on him. He's antagonizing and he's being a dick. And then even you admitted, even though this video's older, even Deroy Cruz admitted that David Lynn shouldn't have been provoking people. So it's interesting here that, and I don't know how long ago was this video. This is okay, it's a few months ago. Okay, so a few months ago, David Lynn's my man. David Lynn, he out there preaching the gospel and he doing thing and that's the call of the Lord. A few weeks ago, well, David Lynn shouldn't have been doing that. He knew that was a gay pride area. That was a gay corner. You can see the pride flags and the gay colors everywhere. And he shouldn't have been there messing with them gay folks. How easily that opinion got turned around given what was on that video. So I find that interesting. But evidently, David Lynn just started doing that. I don't think so. Every time I've seen someone flip out on a street preacher, in real life and on YouTube, by the way, that person's been antagonizing people for quite some time. And they finally caught that ass whooping.
Israelites will come up to you and they'll just try to talk over you, won't let you, speak. They'll just try to put their doctrine over yours, and won't let you finish. And no matter what you say, they got to explain themselves, even though you didn't explain it for them 100 times. You said what they believe, and they agree with you. What's left to explain? But again, I have my feelings where I just want to be left alone, where I don't want to share my faith with anybody because it's mine. And I am one that doesn't feel that, if I don't share my faith, I'm doing an injustice to God or my people. Okay? But I sacrifice, again, what I feel. Okay? Because I don't feel like telling anybody about Jesus. I don't feel like letting homosexuality be my problem. I don't feel like letting atheism be my problem, and it's not. Okay? Because the more and more
that's why he's on YouTube talking about it.
Up their mouth, the more and more I hear homosexuals open up their mouths, okay, the more I grab a hold of my Bible and I start to understand why I need to grow and continue to grow in Christ. Bravo, atheists. Bravo. One more time. I don't need a Bible to tell me what's good and right, or right and wrong in the secular world. I need God to tell me what the rules are in his world. Let me say that again so you get your notes right. I don't need God or the Bible to tell me what's right in your world, in the secular world. Okay? I know in your world I can go right now out on the street, okay, and let 100 men or women give me a BJ and it's okay with you.
Look, I gave you a pass on the last time you were mentioning doing some gay shit. But you making this real hard, no pun intended. Just, he always throws that in there. Like if he would have said, I could go out and sleep with a bunch of people's wives and that's okay, right? That's morally reprehensible. I would agree with him. That would be what I would expect somebody to say in this context. But no, he definitely he loves throwing that in there, and it's really odd. Like the women in this scenario just kind of seem like an afterthought. Like, it's just like 100 men, give me a BJ. Okay. You're not helping yourself, Mr. Cruz. You're not. My heart, no. I mean, having 100 women after like the third woman, man, your stuff is going to be kind of raw. But just like says everyone in the military, morally reprehensible. Yeah, no, I'm morally reprehensible. I Ah, man. I kind of see why he likes focusing on the LTGBTAQ. Oh man, you gotta stop that, Mr. Cruz. You gotta stop that.
I know in the secular world it's okay whether I want to be gay, bisexual, or straight, and it's okay with you.
Wait, it's a gay, bisexual, or straight. I mean, it's hold on. Okay, never mind.
If I want to mix them all together, it's okay with you. You have about this much on the meter scale of what you actually would call wrong, whereas me, I have this much that is wrong. Okay, that's the difference between us and you that are atheists. Okay, you got this much that you see a problem. We see this much. Okay, that's a big difference. It may be wrong for me to rape a woman to you, but to me, I got to be careful how I talk to a woman. I got to be careful how I joke around with a woman. I don't bring a woman in my apartment that ain't my wife. See what I'm saying? You know. Now.
So, okay, I'm not sure where in the Bible says you can't bring a woman to your domicile, but I'm pretty sure that all of us are capable of having a woman in our, like I can have a woman in my apartment here who isn't my wife, and we can talk about the Bible. I mean, that's always possible, Mr. Cruz. You could also do that. You don't have to have sex with women because they're in your apartment or your house. It is very possible. In fact, you can even talk to them about not putting your penis in them. It is very possible. You can talk to them about a myriad of things. So, yeah, it's very possible. But maybe it's just me. Never had a woman. He's had a woman in his house, but I think he has a habit of when they come to his house, they get penis. So maybe that's kind of why he needs to kind of watch himself. But I don't know. But we have different life experiences, so I don't know. It's very possible, folks. Trust me, it is possible. You don't have to have sex with the women's. Respect.
I don't need a Bible to tell me what's right and what's wrong. In a secular world, in a world that supposedly is becoming more and more atheist, I digress. I think it's becoming less and less atheist. I think atheism is on a hold right now. I even go searching YouTube, unless some of these atheists got banned with Farrakhan and the others that are preaching hate speech. I go looking on YouTube for atheists, and I get the same old atheists that were there last year and the year before.
So his metric on how atheism is doing as far as its growth is what happens on YouTube. Now, do y'all know anybody else who does shit like that? Like, if you wanted to track growth of a particular population, any demographic, social, political, racial, whatever, right? Do y'all know anybody else that would use YouTube as a metric of that? Does that make any sense to anybody? That sounds really familiar, though, to me. It does sound like G-Man. That does sound like some stupid shit that G-Man would do. So you're going to track YouTube popularity on, I guess, an ideological movement? Like, really? Really? Mr. Cruz, you're better than that. Actually, no, you're not. This is one of the reasons why that I've said in the past that your pretend title of Life Applications Officer is ridiculous. YouTube is your primary source of education. YouTube. That's not to say that you can't learn some snazzy shit off of YouTube, but it shouldn't be. Let me just give you a comparison, Mr. Cruz. If I wanted to track the growth of the nons, as people like to call them, atheists in particular, or the nons, however you want to group them, I could probably go to the Pew Research Forum. I could go look it up on the interwebs. Because guess what? There are organizations that actually track this sort of thing. It's really easy. It's not really that hard at all. The Pew Research Forum comes up every presidential election because they're polling people all the time. But man, like, it is really weird for you to, so I'm going to track this person's channel. Oh, cool. Let me track Cult of Dusty. He's fallen off for quite some time now. Now he's coming back, evidently. I don't know. I just know what I hear. So if you were using, and I'm just using Dusty as an example, I have no idea. If you're using Dusty as a metric of that, well, shit, you might think anything. But you compare Dusty to, I guess, like, what's it, Mr. Atheist. Mr. Atheist gets several thousand live viewers and all that kind of shit all the time. So what are you going to use to actually, like, how are you going to actually measure that, right? I have no idea. But why not go to an actual organization that tracks that stuff? Because this, as a brilliant life application officer, you're informing folks on how to track an ideological movement via YouTube. This is part of your technique that you're going to teach other people. That's stupid. That's absolutely stupid. You fail, sir. Fail at life application, Mr. Officer.
There really isn't no new, Now, the Cosmic Skeptic, he done stepped up. I see a brand new video that he just did. He done went from doing simple YouTube videos to being a speaker like Matt Dillahunty now. But, and for starters, atheism is not a religion, nor is it a rejection of God. Here we go. How can atheism not be a rejection of God? If you don't believe in God, when your forefathers, your grandmama, her grandmama, okay, and all these different people before you, like you are like the newest religion arising. And I know in my book you're a religion, okay? Don't bother to correct me. You're a religion. I don't care.
Okay, so I'm glad that you don't care. This is why people don't take you seriously. You can call something. When people ask me what my religion is, I say fishing. I am an adherent to the tight line doctrine, right? I am a participant in the collection of fishing paraphernalia. That is what I praise the almighty tug at the end of the line, right? That's my religion, fishing. But me not believing in someone's deity plays very little role in my life. Like that actually plays a way lesser role than fishing does. So because you consider religion doesn't make it so. I'm sorry, Our Lady of the Lore. Yeah, that's funny. I'm actually might use that. But that's cool, Mr. Deroy. But this is another red flag because you're giving yourself leeway to just start labeling things as whatever you want. So if I start labeling your particular religious affiliation as a cult, you shouldn't mind that, right? We can play that game.
Everybody is religious. If you are not religious, I did a video on this. If you are not religious, you don't have an answer and you don't have a question. People that are religious have answers, have questions. Okay? And usually them answers are made up as they go along. Same thing with the questions. You answer a question, you answer an answer, or I'm sorry, you answer a question with a question. And you give an answer for an answer. It's never think about it, go home, come back after you've done your research and answer the daggone question. It's always, now here come this dummy. You say the word atheism, they come running like a pack of wolves. I say this in every atheist video I do. You can't say the word atheist without them come running like a pack of wolves. Just like I can say something about black folks and they come running like a pack of wolves.
Yeah, I've seen some of your videos on black folks, and I see why people come running, because you're absolutely off the mark in half the shit that you say. And so this is what I find interesting about Mr. Cruz. You can't say nothing about nobody, or they come running. Okay, how many of you remember him telling the story, because he's told the story about 3 times, about how he came to YouTube? Just think about what he just said. Because he's complaining now. This is Mr. Cruz whining. If you have a problem with that, Mr. Cruz, that's too fucking bad. You're whining. This is you complaining and whining. Because I remember this story because I found it ironic that you have this YouTube origin story and then you complain about people giving you feedback. You saw atheists and secularists responding to Christians in the comment section and on videos on some of the YouTube channels that you ventured to. So you decided, you took it upon yourself to answer the call. You were going to show these suckers and atheists what for. You took it upon yourself to then go after atheists. Now, what was what was that for? Huh? Oh, because they had mentioned Christians. So hold on for a second. You saw someone, a group of folks, talking about another group of people, so you decided to talk about that group of people. But it's wrong when people hear you talk about their group, and then now they're coming to say something to you. Isn't that weird, Mr. Cruz? It's almost like it's a cycle. But somewhere where you've inserted yourself in that cycle, now you don't want to be a part of the cycle. That's where it stops. That's not how this works, Mr. Cruz. And I've explained this to you in a number of videos. That's not how this works. You took it upon yourself to insert yourself into this realm where, yes, somebody says something about a topic, someone who identifies or can identify with said topic offers their opinion on it, right or wrong, doesn't matter, and then someone sees that, and the next person sees it, and the next person sees it, and round and round and round and round we go. That's literally how YouTube has operated ever since you could make a response to someone in some fashion. That's literally how it works. But now, because you're sensitive and you don't want to be corrected or anything, and you don't want anybody to call you out, just like you try doing your own videos, now your feelings are hurt and now you have to complain. That's too bad, Mr. Cruz. That is too doggone bad.
Okay? But I can get more people. I take that back. I can get just as many people to disagree with me about what's wrong with black folks, and they'll all be black. Okay? Most of them will be black. As I can about atheism and what's wrong with atheism. There's nothing wrong with atheism.
So cool, because it comes down to an argument of ad populum now. Is that what it is? That's awesome. I can give an introspective critique on what I think, but you know what? I don't think I'm educated enough to condemn the Gullah Geechees over in South Carolina and the Creoles in Louisiana. And that I don't think I can do that. Actually, I just jumped on some Black Hebrew Israelites the other day for doing that. So it's interesting because I don't necessarily want to get into your racial narrative because that is disturbing to me. But trust me, if you don't like me talking about atheism, you sure as hell not going to like me talking about your social views based on certain other things that you said. Because, Mr. Cruz, I remember you mentioning, well, God wanted white people to have money and be prosperous. That's what God wanted for them. That's interesting. That tells me a lot about you. If you think that you're where you are in life, which you've indicated that you're not destitute, but you're definitely not a high roller, you've reconciled that in your mind with, well, this is what God wants. That sounds awfully familiar to what some slave owners told slaves many, many, many years ago, a couple hundred years ago. That sounds oddly familiar, Mr. Cruz. They had a name for that doctrine too. But that's fine. I'm not going to touch that now. I'll save that for later when I really get in that I can't say that around you because you take that literally.
This is what's wrong with atheism. Atheists tend to constantly think that they can keep on making this up as they go along. And they keep telling us their rejection for God. Okay? And it's not our problem. You know what I mean? Just like if I'm trying to lose weight and somebody else is eating and they're getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And I say, oh, well, hey, buddy, you might want to do something with that gut. Because, I've been on a diet. I done lost about 10 pounds. But, you might want to, I look at him and I might say, you might want to stay off the bread and pasta, brother. Okay. And he gets all offended. It's the truth. Okay? Might want to chill with the french fries and the hamburgers. Chill with that McDonald's crap, man. Eat some salads every now and then. You're getting bigger and bigger and bigger. You're swelling up like a super large balloon, brother. He gets all offended. Is it my problem? Oh, I should have said, what you want me to say? How nice you want me to say it? Oh, well, maybe a good health book will help you. Maybe a book on belly fat will help you. Or what you want me to say? Oh, it's okay, buddy. It's okay to be fat. There's no health problems with being fat.
So I love the way that Mr. Deroy takes it upon himself to correct the problems with other people. I love it. I absolutely love it. Because it's this is, speaking of racial fucking commentary, this is this old black man mentality where I just need to say it like it is. I don't have to use any tact at all at any point in time. But I can have 50,000 things wrong in my life, but if I can just say I have one thing up on the next person, that gives me right to try and say, you know what, I need to have this really condescending, paternalistic attitude towards literally anyone. I hate that. I absolutely hate that. That is one of the things that grinds my motherfucking gears. So, Mr. Cruz, I love it though. I absolutely love it. Because when I took that attitude with you, you didn't like that too much. When I talked about quite a few things that you had no idea on, because you try to go into kind of some of the philosophical, you try to talk into scientificals and shit. Like, remember those videos, Mr. Cruz? Remember when you were dead ass wrong on a number of things I had to correct you, and specifically things that I had said. You couldn't even get that right. Couldn't even bother to get my positions right. And I am very careful on how I phrase things. And I tend to actually preface a lot of my statements, especially when I direct them at people. And sometimes I even throw a caveat at the end of it too, just so I can make sure that I couch things very, 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 very specifically. And you couldn't even get that right. I don't think you yet identified one of my positions. But so this is interesting to me. Again, you take it upon yourself to try and be this life applications officer when your life is in shambles. When the half of the things that you mention in your life are discord and bedlam, and you simply trying to recover from it. I find that interesting. And from somebody who's admitted, who's already acknowledged that the majority of his conversations happen at work, in passing, and don't really go anywhere. But then to also acknowledge that his primary source of education is YouTube. You have no right to try and correct anybody at any point in time, sir. At all. You don't know enough, nor do you have the experience to speak on it. I find that fascinating. Absolutely fascinating for someone who wants to engage in the pedagogical arts, as it were. As someone who is going to have a doctor-patient relationship. Guess what? That doctor has years of experience and education, two things you lack. Simply living towards a certain age in a first world nation does not make you privy to what you need to be privy to in order to engage in some of these conversations. Sorry to break it to you that way, sir. If your old ass still hasn't figured out that the way that you need to reach some folks is through using tact, then obviously you've not lived long enough. Even I know that. Hence why I'm able to reach more people. There's at some point I have to use some tact. I have to understand my audience. But you seem to miss that. You and quite a few other people. YouTube University. But I'll tell you what, folks. We're going to do part 2 later. I might finish part 2 today. Might save it for tomorrow. Don't know. Worst case scenario would be tomorrow morning. Tomorrow, I got Fridays off. I might fuck with the Mormons later. I don't know. But I got to get ready and do some biochemistry, folks. So on that note, I will see y'all later.